Hello everyone, I'm Rakamdar with Scene World, back here again with a new review. Today I'm going to be covering the new point-and-click adventure game, Rosewater. Developed by Grundislav Games, hope I didn't butcher that, which is led by a solo developer known as Francesco Gonzalez. Scene World has actually done an interview with him if you'd like to learn more about him and the creative process. Rosewater is a beautiful adventure set in an alternate history version of the Wild Wild West. In this setting, you'll encounter a variety of events, such as a Spanish Revolution, various labor struggles as unions battle big industry, Native Americans dealing with the constant threat of colonial violence, and many more themes that can come straight from a real-world history book. However, for this setting, some names and events slightly differ, and there are some fantasy and sci-fi-esque themes as well, particular in regard to technology. Many characters will occasionally mention the existence of airships in dialogue, which immediately brings games like Final Fantasy to mind, and there's a lot of steampunk-like elements as well. Plus, there's a new energy source that is being experimented on known as Aether. While there are many differences, there are still plenty of elements that you might come to expect from a Western-style setting, such as some hard-knocks, saloon fisticuffs, and some good old-fashioned shootouts. The added layers of mystery these alternative themes added, however, actually provided a strong curiosity that kept me engaged with this world that the developer has crafted. Does the rest of the game hold up to keep me invested, though? Well, that's what we're here to find out. Spoilers, it totally did.
The thoughts in my head are running together like the landscape outside the window. Excitement and trepidation and boredom mixing like the scrub and rocks and soil into one long blur. One thing I know, I am ready for a change of scene.
I've said before reviewing another game in this genre, and I do think it bears repeating. Point-and-click adventures place a heavy emphasis on their narrative and characters due to having more limited gameplay elements. There's not a lot of epic platforming or some epic battles to make up for a simple story. This does also lend the genre into an unfortunate subjective world, since some people just simply won't vibe with a given story, at no fault to the writing. Thankfully, Rosewater was able to engage me as a player, and the extra added mystery of the setting kept me wondering what might happen next. Our main character is a rough and tough gal known as Harley Leger, who is a freelance writer looking for her next big gig and a new environment. Harley showcases some skills from her scrappy past, as she immediately notices a young bully trying to pickpocket her upon exiting the train station. In this moment, the player is given one of their first dialogue choices and are presented with a few alternative ways of handling the situation. Rosewater takes a few notes from the RPG genre and gives players a chance to handle some things in different ways. Here, Harley can be rude or mean to the boy, or be more sympathetic instead. The various witty and sarcastic dialogue options that you can choose for Harley, as well as her voice actress, endeared me to her quite fast. After this early run-in, we can choose to explore the town a little bit before eventually going to meet our new boss, the owner of the local newspaper. This owner recognizes Harley a little and gives her the first job, to interview a frontier showman known as Gentleman Jake. Getting said interview is easier said than done, however, and eventually leads into a variety of shenanigans before Harley is finally permitted to meet with our special guest. During our introduction, Jake has a run-in with some local thugs, and Harley is forced to step in and help. Afterwards, we finally get that interview, where Jake quickly notes how capable Harley is and wants to recruit her help in his next big scheme, finding Dr. Bennett Clark's missing fortune. Dr. Clark was a scientist who was experimenting on Aether to try and uncover a new infinite source of energy, and in doing so may have caused a huge catastrophe with many people dying as a result. Thus, he was forced to flee to the furthest outskirts of civilization in order to continue his research. One day, however, the scientist went missing, and Jake, plus the newly recruited Harley, are now interested in finding any potential riches he left behind. Ultimately, the group stumble into quite a mystery while investigating the scientist's whereabouts. The team embarks on the quest to investigate the laboratory first, only to find some surmountable obstacles in the way. While attempting to overcome said obstacles, we meet new faces who will join the team to help search for the treasure, while also encountering a few detours along the way. After enough clues, it becomes apparent that the team needs to leave the little town of Rosewater to continue the investigation, and our adventuring party finally assembles with one more member at the head of our transportation. Now the road trip begins, and from here we will get many opportunities to build stronger bonds with our traveling party. As you travel along the road, you can choose to talk with whoever you wish and want to learn more about, or you could just simply pass the time by playing cards. After choosing how to pass your time, a variety of random encounters will eventually happen. From trying to resolve a love dispute to potentially getting robbed at gunpoint, the game puts the player in tough situations, and you are presented with multiple options that will ultimately determine how the events will play out. I may have messed up a couple of them. The inspiration from role-playing games is very apparent here, and where I have to give a lot of praise to the game. I really appreciate when a game offers multiple paths to the player, especially in a genre such as this, where one might come up with many different solutions based on the information. Though I do have to give Rosewater a little bit of slack here, especially with some of the puzzles. One puzzle in particular where this issue was most apparent was one that I had to get a toolbox down from a higher location. There was a broken set of spiral stairs, and it was located on one of the higher steps. I immediately eyeball the chair nearby, but it breaks upon interacting with it. Out of luck there. However, from what it seems, there's plenty of tools in the room to get the box down. Maybe I can nudge it down with a piece of the broken chair even. Or maybe my nearby party member can help me balance a little bit as I climb a little bit higher on this staircase contraption, just high enough to nudge it down. Or heck, he can even just get on his hands and knees to give me some elevation. To me, there seemed like there would be plenty of options here if I were actually in this scenario myself. Leaving the building to get the sharpshooter so that he can shoot down the box with his revolver was certainly the very last option I would have ever considered. Thankfully, while many puzzles offer a single solution like this one, there are also plenty that have multiple paths, and they can even have an impact on the story. Early on, the game tasks you with breaking into a lady's house and stealing their watch. I did this by grabbing a nearby roof tile and smashing the rusty lock to her front door. This approach led me to getting caught, and I had to apologize to her much later when she ends up being a crucial ally. However, if you manage to figure out how to acquire lockpicks that are found in the sheriff's office, you can then pick the lock instead, which leads to Harley escaping without any confrontation. If the task is done this way without getting caught, the lady will be understandably less frustrated with you when she eventually reunites with the player, potentially even offering a friendly discount for her traveling services when you ask about it. My choices having such an impact made playing the game far more immersive as the world reacted to my actions. I found that many of these elements, potentially even more inspirations taken from modern adventure and role-playing games, helped make the world feel real. As for presentation, I did find some of the animations to be just a little bit hit or miss. I certainly enjoyed the animated cutscenes a lot more than I was expecting, but in the moment-to-moment gameplay, the animations came off just a little bit stiff. This is only the most minor of nitpicks though, as in almost every situation it was never so noticeable that it took away from the events taking place and the story being told. The overall art style made for wonderfully vibrant environments, and they were such a joy to look at. Each location visited had such a great attention to detail, in both the background, but also even in the written dialogue, and it gave this world a true sense of verisimilitude. The dialogue in general felt real, and each character had a unique sense of self. The way characters reacted to various stimuli was believable for their characters. Surrounding the heavier topics, there was a sense of maturity, and misguided or racist comments were presented as character flaws for the character to either grow from or be ridiculed for if they doubled down on their bigotry. As for the wittier moments from characters, it was amusing, and much of the game's humor landed for me. Overall, I'd say Rosewater nails the execution for what it was trying to accomplish. I would even go so far as to say that it could be a great entry point for anyone interested in this genre. If you already enjoy these kinds of games, well, this is probably the easiest recommendation I can think of. Go play it, it's pretty good. So, about that question that I had posed earlier, did the rest of the game hold up and keep me invested? Well, I think it's safe to say at this point, absolutely. There was the occasional hiccup, but I was thoroughly intrigued and captivated by the world, story, and characters of Rosewater. This was a wonderful adventure through and through.